Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Almost 30 podcast. It's Lindsey. I'm going to intro this really special episode with our friend Amber Rae. Thank you for joining us on the Almost 30 podcast. Thanks for subscribing, for sharing with a friend. It means the world to us. If you love our pod, rating and reviewing is so helpful. But this is really a community that has grown over the last 9 freaking years. It's crazy to think about. And it's grown from just two girlies on our closet floors, just talking about life at the time, which was kind of a shit show, to be completely honest with you. And we just wanted to share our stories and in real time learnings. And it's just grown into this incredible podcast movement community and now a book that is out now. It's called Almost 30, a definitive guide to a life you love for the next decade and beyond. So just shout out to all of you that have made this possible, whether you're a new listener or an OG. We love you. As I said, I'm Lindsey Simsick. My co-host and best friend is Krista Williams. And we do solos every month. We also do incredible interviews. And today is one of those with our friend Amber Rae. She is a best-selling author and speaker. She is best known for her book, Choose Wonder Over Worry, and the Answers Are Within You. She's also the creator of the Feelings Journal. She has been featured in publications like The New Yorker and The Today Show and Fortune and Forbes. And she's just an incredibly talented storyteller and teacher. And her new book, I think she's going to be best known for in the writing world, and that is Lovable: One Woman's Path from Good to Free. So this story is one that I think a lot of women will relate to. It is a story not only of a woman falling in love with a stranger while she is married, but certainly a roadmap for learning that you don't need someone to love you to know that you are lovable. I found myself not wanting to put this book down, to be completely honest, and that hasn't happened in quite some time. It was such a quick read in the sense that I just wanted to keep diving into each chapter. And the story itself is just so, I think, relatable and also riveting. And the reflections and lessons are just woven in so beautifully and really call the reader to their own truth. And I was just blown away. And it was just so refreshing. I was telling Amber this through text, but I'm like, girl, in a world where AI writing is kind of rampant, whether it's in books or online mostly, I just found it so refreshing to read a memoir, a book that was just so well written and just there's so much care that she took with this book. So I want to just share a few of the things we talked about, but you are going to love this conversation. We weave in themes from motherhood as well, because she is also a new mom to a 10-month-old. So I think moms out there, soon to be moms out there, will appreciate that. But we start with this idea of the good girl. This is a huge theme in her book. She was raised to be good, to please, to perform, and just where that came from and how it was showing up in her relationships, in her then marriage, her 9-year marriage, within her work, within her relationship with her therapist. This is something that I think a lot of women will relate to. And it really got in the way of her becoming whole and recognizing her wholeness. So we talk about that. We also just get into the nitty gritty of that 9-year relationship, that marriage that she was in, that was a sexless marriage. It was a marriage in which she was just kind of jumping over the moments that made her feel like, whew, this doesn't feel like love. This doesn't feel fulfilling. She would just kind of jump over it and fantasize about what it could be and maybe the next thing that she could do to maybe make it work. So we talk about that process. It's a complicated one. It's a complex one that so many women have written into her and told her they relate to. Um, and then we also talk about the moment that where she met John, where she literally in that moment recognized a soulmate. And what that felt like and how she knew it was that rather than just kind of a lusty attraction moment. and then their path to eventually getting together, and just what that required of her, telling the truth in her former relationship to herself, to her partner. It is quite the journey, and just a fascinating one. And finally, we talk about disappointing ourselves so that we don't disappoint others. And this is something that I just deeply have related to in my life in the past, and even now sometimes. But she talks about how she starts to shift this pattern, and what that self loyalty really looks like in practice and really looks like in relationship. And there's more to this conversation that I think you'll love. But you have to get this book. I am telling you, like, can we start a book club? It is so, so good. You will not want to put it down. Amber's an incredible writer with an incredible story. Again, it's Lovable One Woman's Path from Good to Free. It is out now. You can get it anywhere books are sold. And Amber, thank you for coming to visit us in person to have this conversation. Let's get right into it. Thanks for listening. Thank you so much for being a part of this journey of ours. We are just so indebted to you for, all the love and the support you've given us over the years. So enjoy this episode, and I'll see you on the other side. Okay, let me just say electrolytes are not just for athletes. I learned the hard way after feeling just really foggy and drained and waking up with headaches all of the time. A few years ago, when I was working out a lot, I was just, doing my life, it's a full day, and I'm not hydrating myself properly. And there have even been moments as a new mom where I'm not hydrating as much as I should. And when I am on my element game, it's a wow. Honestly, I feel so much better. Element is a tasty electrolyte drink mixed with everything you need and nothing you don't. That means 1,000 milligrams of sodium, 200 milligrams of potassium, 60 milligrams of magnesium, and no sugar, no artificial ingredients, no junk. This helps with hydration, energy, muscle function, even sleep, and it actually tastes amazing. I'm obsessed. My go-tos are right now in the summer, I love the lemonade salt. I think it's their best flavor. But watermelon's amazing, raspberry too. I love orange. But I just really feel like it supports my body in an incredible way. Most systems in our body depend on us being properly hydrated and depend on those electrolytes. So take this seriously. Right now, Element is offering our listeners a free 8-count sample pack of their most popular flavors with any purchase. You'll get 2 citrus salt, 2 raspberry salt, 2 watermelon salt, and 2 orange salt. Perfect to find your fave, or you can share it with a friend. Go to drinkelement.com/almost30. That's drinklmnt.com/almost30 to get your free sample pack today. No one wants to feel like an afterthought, especially when you're pregnant and doing everything you can to take care of yourself and your growing baby. But the truth is, pregnant women, especially those from diverse backgrounds, are often excluded from clinical studies. And many prenatals on the market, they've never been clinically tested. That's why I chose Ritual. They're actually raising the standard with their essential prenatal. It's the #1 best-selling prenatal and the only leading one backed by its own 24-week human clinical trial. For me, it was the sensory experience that won me over. For me, like I experienced nausea, and so taking pills was not fun. And so their citrus essence in there really makes it easy to take. So many supplements have made me feel off, but Ritual is different. It's super gentle on my stomach, and I actually look forward to taking it in my routine. And I love that they use methylated folate, not folic acid, and the bioavailable nutrients make me feel like I'm giving my body what it truly needs during this time. So I am taking it now. I'm not pregnant at the moment, but I'm taking a prenatal in preparation to conceive. So I'm really loving it. And bonus, it's HSA, FSA eligible, so it's easy to save when you subscribe. Don't settle for less than evidence-based support. Get 25% off your first month at ritual.com/almost30. Start Ritual or add Essential Prenatal to your subscription today. That's ritual.com/almost30 for 25% off. I'm here with Amber Rae, and we're talking about our sweet little babies to begin this convo. We were talking about sleep, and it's been a journey. And I like you just said, I chose not to sleep train in like the traditional cry it out sense. I did at 13 months. I connected with a sleep gal. Her name is Lauren from Tiny Star Sleep. she does a very gentle approach and really kind of works with your child mostly on what's happening during the day.
Oh, interesting.
Which helps sleep at night.
Okay.
So it was actually really informative, mostly about the circadian rhythm and just helping that get on track. But I honestly haven't had like a week of sleeping through the night. I don't think ever.
Okay.
But I also think that it's normal. If people are saying that their kid is sleeping through the night from 4 months on, I don't know if I believe them. There's teeth coming in. There's developmental things. There's sicknesses. Like, he's great, I would say 4 or 5 days out of the week.
Okay.
I'll take it.
That feels manageable. I'll take that.
It's manageable.
I'm ready for that. I'm ready for one night.
Yeah. I stopped breastfeeding at 18 months.
Okay.
Around there. I think I weaned night times around, I forget, maybe 10?
Yeah.
11 months?
I feel like I'm getting close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
because he's not really eating that much.
Yeah.
He just wants mom
comfort.
to come comfort.
It's comfort, of course. Yeah. And that's understandable. So I was ready to. I was like, I can't do this because I saw myself getting frustrated and that wasn't fair to him. I was like, I'm not bringing good energy into this room when you wake up. But it's a journey. And every kid is so different.
Yeah.
My sister's little girl, same age, they never did any sleep training or anything. She slept through the night from a certain age. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
This is what it is.
This is what it is. Yeah. He naps wonderfully.
Yeah.
Like same time every day, same amount of hours. So maybe he's sleeping. I don't know. He's like, he can do 4 hours during the day. Maybe that's too much. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. That's great. Okay.
Anyway.
Yeah. Okay. We'll talk after. We'll talk offline. Okay. Let's get into it. I'm thrilled to be here with you. First of all, we've seen each other so much in the last week, and I'm feeling very blessed to be able to connect with you during a very insanely exciting time in your life. I know it can be a lot. We just put out our book, and I just know that feeling of having something so precious and vulnerable, and just something that I know is part of your purpose in the world finally come out. So where do we begin? I did read the book, and I told Amber, I was like, I cannot put this down. It is just such a powerful, insanely just juicy read for many reasons. And I just loved how I walked away from this with not only an incredible story having been told, but just reflecting on my own good girl, reflecting on my own tendencies that you shared in the book. And it was just such an amazing opportunity through reading a book that I didn't expect, to be completely honest. Normally I pick up a self-help book and I can expect that, but from a memoir, I wasn't expecting it. So let's actually start with being the good girl, I think is a good place to start. You talk a lot in the book how you were raised to be good. Yeah. To be polite, to essentially perform in a lot of arenas and environments, and I really relate to this. So at what point did you realize that being good was getting in the way of being who you really are?
Yeah, well, here I was 9 years into a marriage with my best friend who was never my romantic partner. And, when I did finally leave that, I remember looking back being like, how the hell did I let that be okay and let that happen? I'm someone whose work is about living your most authentic and meaningful life. I'm out on stages telling people to live their truth. I was like, what? How did I, it's I didn't know you don't know when you're pretending sometimes. I didn't realize I was pretending. I wasn't trying to deceive anyone because I really wanted the relationship to work and I thought it was what I was supposed to do. And, we were 26 when we met. And, but I look back and it's because I thought being good was the key to love and praise. And if I'm the good girl who does the right things and I am the good wife, and even though I'm not really having intimacy with my partner and I feel unmet in all these different ways, and yes, he's my friend, but this is not what I hoped marriage would be, I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to make it work. I'm going to try the next self-help book, workshop, trip, whatever, to try and get that closeness that I'm so intensely craving in this marriage. And I just thought, even though I don't feel met and this doesn't feel aligned, what should I do? I should stay, because staying is what good wives, good people do. And so I think, because I don't think I would have been like, oh yeah, I'm so the good girl. I don't even know if I would have identified that way until I was, because in a lot of ways I made so many risks and bold moves in my career. Like I was willing to kind of blow it all up, take chances, try things on, experiment. I felt very brave and authentic in my career, but I realized that I was not brave or necessarily authentic in love. And that was because of a lot of these stories around my lovability and, the good girl who's the harmonizer. My girlfriend, Maho Malfino, she wrote a book called Break the Good Girl Myth. And she actually breaks it down into like 5 of the good girl myths. And one of them is perfectionism, which I definitely identified with. And the other one was harmony. And that is, I'm going to essentially abandon myself to keep the harmony and peace. I don't want to disappoint anyone. I don't want to let them down. And I look at that 9-year relationship and I just see someone who stayed because she didn't want to hurt someone she cared about's feelings. And it's like, really? I was like so okay to hurt myself so that I would not hurt another, which ultimately, though, if I'm self-abandoning that much, it doesn't serve anyone in the relationship. So it wasn't, great for either of us. So it was really on the other side of that relationship that I really began unpacking how much the idea of being good was holding me back and keeping me in this own cage of my making.
Yeah, the line you were referring to in the book, why am I so afraid of disappointing others, but so willing to disappoint myself? I mean, that was like heartbreaking for me to read. There was a point in my life where that was my MO, and I didn't even realize it. It was just kind of this like subconscious programming that was like running everything. And
so we're conditioned to.
Yes.
We're conditioned to be good, be polite. I was 2 weeks ago, I was out east and there were these little girls on the beach and there were these little boys, and the little boys were like throwing sand at each other and pushing each other with trucks like it was crazy. They were being crazy, but like outrageous, like good play, get it out, energized boys. And then the girls, it was like, don't do that, apologize, you have to be nice, share. And no one was policing the boys in that way. And I just remember looking and be like, this is where it begins. Like, here we are. We think we have to self-abandon. We think we have to, do something that we may not have the urge to do because it's what being a good, polite girl does.
And what did that look like for you growing up specifically? I guess, like, was it like just policing your manners, or I guess where did that start?
Yeah, my mom and grandma were just like, you're a good girl, be perfect. It was, and it was, there were times where I had emotions, or there were times where I even made mistakes, and they wouldn't even like look at those. It was, I tell this story in the book, but anytime I had a big feeling, I was invited to actually go get good Amber and come back in the room.
Yes. Wow.
And so if I was like upset or angry or moody, I would literally walk through a doorway, give myself a pep talk and be like, okay, put down bad Amber who has feelings and needs, and be good Amber. Go put on a smile, pretend, so that you can make everyone else comfortable.
Yeah. Like when you realize as an adult that the adults around you when you were a child could not handle their own emotions and thus couldn't handle your emotions, and how we just like pretzeled ourselves to accommodate them. It's wild.
It's wild.
And it's like, it's hard not to be. I remember that point in therapy where I was like, how dare you? Like, I resent you, and then there's the process of like compassion and understanding and kind of moving on. But it's such a big one that I think this book really illuminates too, for women especially.
And I even, I will notice it with my son. If he's having a really fussy day, it's dysregulating.
Yeah.
And I'm noticing my nervous system. I'm like, why is this is so uncomfortable? And I want to make the fuss go away. When, and of course I want to like find out, why is he fussy? What's really going on? What's the root of that? What's the unmet need? How can I help meet that need? But also it's been so interesting to be like, oh, my urge here is actually to kind of quiet him. I'm grateful I have the awareness of it, because it was like the emotional suppression that I felt as a young girl was such a pain point for me that I'm seeing it now as a mother. And I'm like, okay, no, my role here is actually I have to sit with the discomfort, be with him, let him know, okay, I hear that you're frustrated. I hear that you want this. You know, he's 10 months old. He can't fully understand, but I like try to verbalize and acknowledge his emotions.
Yeah.
And in doing that, it actually calms me down.
Yes. The acknowledgement is so essential, more so than actually like, quote, giving them the thing or what the, at this toddler age that I'm in, it's usually like a boundary that I want to create, but I also need to acknowledge like what he's feeling. Like I totally get why you would want this or why you're frustrated.
Yeah.
But we can't go outside at, whatever it is.
Whatever it is, yeah.
It's like, so it's the tending to that now as adults and seeing it mirrored in our kids is like a whole new experience.
Yeah.
So I we'll kind of hop around the story, but you met your soulmate while you were still married.
Yeah.
And I'm curious your experience in not only writing about this and just how that felt, and also the response that you've gotten since kind of sharing this more publicly, talking about the book. We talked about this offline the other day when I saw you, but I just would love for you to kind of like share that in real time experience.
Yeah. Just a bit of context. It's 4 years ago while I was married, I looked into the eyes of a stranger and I had this feeling of hello again. And my body and intuition were like, it's him. He's your person. While my mind was thinking you're insane. You're very married and you're in the middle of building a business out with your, with my then husband, and the timing of this couldn't be more inconvenient. He's a stranger and what? But it was this knowing in me of when I met him that I couldn't shake. And the knowing in some ways was this kind of mirror and wake up call, because everything that I was not admitting to myself, the truths that I was afraid to face, suddenly were so clear, because the connection I felt with this person was what love is supposed to feel like. And the connection I had felt for 9 years in my relationship, we never, that was not what the relationship was. So it was this like wake up call that kind of woke me up from this slumber and had me look in the mirror and be really honest with myself. And so, I wrote this book because I needed to, and it was a process for me to really get honest, to look at my past, to connect the dots, to understand how I got there. It was healing for me, helped me work through my own shame about being a woman who left her, partner for someone else. How dare I? I had so many good girl stories about that. And also, I realized that so many people find themselves in a cage of their own making. They find themselves trapped in a life that no longer fits. And society says, stay. Stay because that's what good people do. Stay and figure it out. Stay and white knuckle your way through. Stay for the kids, Stay, 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 stay. It never says make the self-honoring choice. And, yes, mine is about a marriage, but I and I've particularly realized in putting the story out there, I didn't know how much it would resonate, but people who feel trapped in jobs, relationships, friendships, identities, parts of themselves that they've outgrown, and they don't know how to make that leap, make that shift, how to make the brave choice into who they truly are. And so, the book was kind of this like healing, love letter, liberation process for me, but I've realized that it's actually going to be that like liberation process for others.
Yeah.
And, the feedback on it so far has been, oh my God, this is my story. I can't believe you're putting words to what my experience is in. I thought I was alone. I've gotten intense messages of resonance. I've been married for 18 years. We've been intimate 4 times. I feel guilty wanting more. This is the exact process I just went through 6 months ago. I'm being shamed by my community. I mean, it's just like the messages, which has been profound. And I just feel, you never know when you write memoir. I'm like burying my soul on the page in a room alone. And like what started as this very personal process for myself, like I knew there wasn't a universal story there, but I don't think I fully knew.
Yeah.
So to help women feel less alone through sharing and kind of boldly speaking about my story is just like everything. And then, of course, with that, because it's a topic about love and it's a topic about leaving a marriage and having met someone else, people have a lot of feelings about it as well. So, I'm the devil, Satan, I should die. I'm toxic feminism. I'm what's wrong with the world.
Yeah.
I have narcissistic personality disorder. I mean, I'm horribly selfish. I mean, it is like thousands of
Wow.
hate comments, which, I'm grateful that because I shamed myself when I left. And I spent a couple months in therapy just working on the topic of shame and how dare I be a person who would do that. And so had I not untangled that prior to sharing the story, I think I'd be a lot more triggered by what people are saying. Because of course it's just if someone says something that really impacts me, it's probably because it's my own internalized story. And so I've been able to thankfully be like, okay, clearly this person is hurting or in pain because of their own relationship or story about love or something that they're not acknowledging. So, but it's also like lit this fire in me because I realize that all of the things that people are saying in the comments about me are the reasons why people stay in situations in which they feel trapped because they're afraid that people are going to speak to them that way.
Yeah.
And it's terrifying. Like our primal desire as human beings is to belong. And here people are saying like, you're not worthy, you don't belong, you're an awful human being. And yes, it's one thing to be strangers on the internet, but like when you're close community, which is something that I also did face because there were, when it was all going down and people didn't understand, didn't know the full story. There were my girl, thankfully I had a very close circle of friends who were like, kind of like, thank God, we he's great, but like clearly this hasn't been right for some time. And so we're like, with me on it. But then there were people who like you're a terrible person and, how dare you? And had a lot of big feelings about it. So
that's what happens when you follow your heart though.
Yeah.
You're going to disappoint some people.
Yeah.
You might break someone else's heart, inadvertently. And then not everyone's going to get it.
Yeah.
And it's like one of those initiations in life that like is so needed and so hard for someone who's used to being a good girl, liked, accepted, all the things. But it's like almost that specific initiation is for someone like you and I. Like we need that.
Let's blow up the harmony myth.
Yeah. It's so important.
Yeah.
I wanna talk about that that moment that you met your now husband, because someone listening might have experienced that, or maybe they will, but there's also that voice in our head that says like, no, like maybe that's just like a physical sexual desire, or maybe it's like almost downplaying the soul connection and the intensity, or misinterpreting the intensity because maybe they haven't really kind of connected with that part of themselves. So I would just love for you to kind of talk about that more and how you knew it was a soul connection like that.
Yeah. I had all of those fears at first. Like, is this because you're not having sex in your marriage? Or are you just horny? Yes, he's an attractive guy, but like, there was a deeper feeling, and it wasn't instant, even though I had this knowing of like, whoa, it took a little bit of time for me to like really get to, okay, this is what I really think it is. And honestly, so the night I met him, because I thought, oh, maybe in another life, there's no way I'm going to blow everything up. This is crazy. I turned to him and I said, I'm going to match you with your person. And I meant that honestly, because I was like, wow, this wonderful person who's single, like I'm going to find his wife.
Yo, it's so funny because then you turn off that little part of you. Yeah. Because you're like, no, you can't have it.
yeah, you can't have it. And he was like, that's so kind of you. I'm actually 6 weeks out of a relationship. I'm working on myself right now. I'm not really like interested in a relationship, but I trust you could. So like, maybe another time. And yet I still was like making a list in my mind of the people I could introduce him to.
Wow.
And then I was like, okay, well, he can't be my life partner, so maybe I can make him my creative partner in this project. And so the project I was working on with my then husband, I actually brought him into the project, and he was going to help me design the whole thing. And so because of that, there was more time together. And in that time together, just it was, my soul was like, yes, 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 yes. And so, I guess for the person listening, I don't want to say like, if you're in a marriage and you meet someone else, just go spend time with that other person. Like but I think also the key is that even though I like felt and knew, I truly did not know if he was just the catalyst or if I was going to spend the rest of my life with him.
Sure.
But I knew that if I like committed to saying the most honest and true thing that was alive in me, that would lead me to whatever is most right and true. So, when the night that after they left, the night I met him, I turned to my husband and said, I just met a soulmate. And, it just kind of came out of me. And he said, I saw, and that was beautiful to witness. And like, there was no further dialogue at that moment. But
what do you think that was?
I think he saw it because the connection was so undeniable. And it wasn't like, oh, these two are trying to go. It was just like the way our souls lit up around each other was hard to not see. It was just like two people like, just like
totally
so alive with each other. And so, and I think I will, I'll give my ex credit. I truly believed he wanted the best and highest path for me in life as I wanted for him.
Yeah.
And even though like egos can get involved, I believe he was like, whatever is going to take her on her, like the path she's meant to live on, I'm a yes for that, even if it doesn't involve me. I don't know how conscious that was in that moment, but I do think that's where his heart was.
Sure.
And so like that, the person listening, you said, I've just met someone, I think is like, have the honest conversation with yourself. I don't know if it's open a journal and begin to like, why is this showing up? What is this wanting me to know? What does fear sound like here? What does my intuition sound like here? What am I afraid to know? Like we have to ask ourselves those questions when these sliding door moments come up. And then I think it's be honest with the people involved. Like at one point I had to say to John, like, am I crazy or is there a connection here? And so it was like all of these like small, honest steps that ultimately led to the way things unfolded. But it was all very like in the open and transparent.
Yeah. Wow. Have you noticed that fees are everywhere lately? Like you book a weekend rental and you have a cleaning fee. Buy concert tickets, there's a processing fee no one can explain. Even ordering delivery comes with a service charge. It's like we're getting nickel and dime just for living life. It's very annoying. And those fees feel especially frustrating when money's tight. That's why I love Chime. So with Chime, there are no monthly fees, no overdraft fees, and no minimum balance fees. It's basically banking that doesn't punish you for being a human trying to get ahead. Personally, I've had times where I was trying to stick to a budget and surprise bank fees totally threw me off. Chime gives me peace of mind. I know what's coming in, what's going out, and I'm not getting charged for just using my money. Banking shouldn't cost you money. And with Chime, it doesn't. Open your account in 2 minutes at chime.com/almost30. That's chime.com/almost30.
Chime is a financial technology company, not a bank. Banking services and debit card provided by the Bancorp Bank N.A. or Stride Bank N.A. Members FDIC. Spot me eligibility requirements and overdraft limits apply. Timing depends on submission of payment file. Fees apply at out-of-network ATMs. Bank ranking and number of ATMs according to U.S. News and World Report 2023. Chime checking account required.
Okay, I've always been someone who loves the idea of adventure. Like, give me a new trail to run or a random side street to wander down, and I'm totally in. But as a mom, I've also realized the real adventure is just getting out the door with enough energy to keep up with the day. And that's where having a go-to nourishing routine honestly has saved me. Enter Kachava, aka my not-so-secret weapon. It's a whole body meal shake that somehow manages to be packed with 85 plus superfoods and still tastes really good. I'm a chocolate girl though through and through, but sometimes I'll do the vanilla with almond milk or frozen banana and a little cinnamon, and it's like a fancy smoothie from a cafe without the $16 price tag, if you know what I mean. But what sold me, it's not just protein. Though it has 25 grams of clean plant-based protein, it's also got fiber, adaptogens like maca, superfoods like sacha inchi, and even ingredients like goji berry and chia that I used to buy separately and never use, let's be honest. So I'm so happy they're in there. They're just all mixed in. I usually whip my own up with a quick breakfast or post-workout shake, and it actually fills me up without that weird powdery aftertaste I've had with other drinks. And I know you know what I mean. I feel focused, satisfied, and like I actually gave my body something it wants to say thank you for. So if you're playing curious but not fully vegan, no worries. Kachava is for everyone. Plus, they've got a love it guarantee, so it's risk-free to try. But I have a feeling you're going to get hooked. Fuel your day with Kachava. Go to kachava.com and use code almost30 for 15% off your next order. That's KACHAVA.com, code almost30 for 15% off. What was the scariest? Was there a scary part about having that type of connection that you hadn't really felt in so long? You know, like something just so true and so deep.
Yeah.
Like, was that confronting in any way?
It was terrifying.
Yeah.
Because without giving too much away, 6 weeks after meeting John, I leave my marriage, and I pack up my stuff and I move to LA where John's living, and we commit our lives to each other, and we've not yet kissed. And here I am on the other side of a 9-year sexless marriage, feeling deeply disconnected from my sexuality with someone who's very connected to his sexuality. And I'm terrified because if I can't perform in the bedroom, will he leave?
Right.
And I, realized that the reason I was in that marriage for 9 years and the reason I had this inclination to make my friends my romantic partners is so that I wouldn't have to feel the vulnerability of possibly being abandoned. And my dad passed when I was a little girl, and I had a shitty stepdad. And so my models around love were like, desire is dangerous. Make safe choices in love so you don't get hurt or left again, or you don't have to feel that pain of abandonment again.
Oh, wow.
And so, of course, I picked my best friend, a safe partner, a safe place in a lot of ways, so I don't have to contend with those wounds. And so I thought, I've done all the work. Now I'm with John. It's going to be smooth sailing. And I was very surprised when I realized that I had intellectually done the work. I knew my patterns. I knew where my abandonment wounds came from. I understood my attachment style, all that stuff. But I had not somatically processed it.
Right.
Because, here I was having these somatic responses, these fears in my body shutting down. I had this visual of the first time we were intimate. And I was standing there terrified with my arms pinned to my side.
Oh, yeah.
Deer in headlights.
Totally.
And he was like, what am I going to do about this? It's in the book. But yeah, it was scary. And a lot of my conditioning was don't get too comfortable, because as soon as things are good, something look for the ball to drop.
Right.
And that had been what I experienced growing up. So here I was, now I'm with my person. This is everything I've wanted. This is the connection I've always desired.
Yeah.
And now I'm waiting for something to go wrong.
Yeah.
So I was hyper vigilant, on edge. And then I'm who the hell is this person that's feeling like a shell of myself? So I found the right therapist, thankfully. Thank you, Christine. I love you. And was able to unpack that. And thankfully, my friend Vienna Farron, she says, we get wounded in relationships. And so we heal in relationships. And I think for a while I believed I have to do this all on my own.
Right.
And it was actually in the container of our relationship that I was able to face those wounds, be honest and vulnerable about them. And he was able to meet me there. So
I think that's a myth that a lot of women believe, is that they need to be healed before they get into a relationship with their person.
Yeah, no.
And if I've learned anything, it's that my marriage is the greatest vehicle for growth that I've had in my life.
Yeah.
I've done a lot of work on my own for sure.
Yeah.
But to heal parts of yourself and be witnessed and supported through that by someone, and still loved and accepted through it, I'm whoa, this is that shit. It's crazy.
Totally. It's yes, do the self-work. But
yes. Because that's the foundation, of course. But I think it's you're doing yourself a disservice to try and wait to be perfect or wait to be fully healed or get the all of the icky stuff that you think is super shameful out of the way before you meet the person. Because most likely, what I've found is that my person kind of holds the unlock to some of those
Yeah.
things because of who they are
Totally.
and their program and what they're healing. And
Yeah.
it's just such a beautiful match
Yeah.
in a way. What have you realized is a match between you and John in terms of what you both are healing without sharing anything that you don't want to share? But
Yeah, we're both really sensitive to tone in
yeah.
conflict, and we both have like triggers around that. And so, and we both, I think, aren't always aware when the tone is present.
Yeah.
And so, like,
Totally.
it'll be like the delivery of what we want to say and how we can like meet each other instead of with like frustration or sharpness, which I think can be when we're like stressed or triggered, our inclination.
Yeah.
But to like in those moments to like soften and be gentle
Yes.
and like talk to each other like our son is in the room. Has been a huge growth for both of us. And then, you know, his biggest wound is around, and I think you'd be okay with me sharing this, is around like not feeling heard. And one of my biggest wounds is around not hearing myself. And so there will be times where I want to really hear my intuition and knowing. And if there's too many voices or too many opinions, I find it really difficult to hear myself. And so, and this was something like, you know, mom was a little overbearing or strong opinions or like, and it was just like, I can't hear. And so when John, who's not my mom, wants to be like, oh, I think this is a really great idea, or have you considered this? I might sometimes resist him and push him away, which triggers his biggest wound of like my partner who I love and respect. And I feel like I have a good idea here is
not hearing,
acting like a rebellious teenager and won't hear me. And so that's one that we've been unpacking a little bit recently,
Totally.
where it's like, oh yeah, I can say, he's like, you can just be like, great idea, babe. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or like, thanks for considering me and thinking about me and spending your, you know, time and energy thinking about like a story I could tell that, you know, like he's so in it with me. He's like, you don't have to do what I say. It's not like like you have to go act on this. I'm just like offering thoughts. And so he's like, is it possible for you to like be like, thank you, but still do whatever you want to do.
Right.
And like hold space for both. So that's been my like, oh, this isn't him. Yeah, I can hear him and hear me.
Yes. Yeah, I relate to that deeply. And I think just in new motherhood, this is good for anyone who is a new mom or maybe becoming a new mom. You're going to get a lot of noise.
A lot of noise.
Online, with friends, family. Like, it was
Sleep experts.
insane. Yes, sleep experts. Oh my gosh. And you can really drive yourself crazy because there is a part of you that's like, oh, maybe that's the right way. And maybe I should try that. No, maybe I should actually that's, you know, it's like that part of your brain starts to get activated.
Yeah.
And you're so right. You really have to tune out most if not all of the noise. But then when your partner comes in and has their own thoughts, recommendations, intuitions, I was also similarly just very like a little protective.
Yeah.
And also there's a part of me that thinks I know better.
Yeah.
So what I've realized, and I'm sure you have too, it's like they're on, you know, as fathers, they're on that journey, a very similar but different journey of like activating their own intuition. And so, yeah, it's just a fascinating thing to allow as well.
Yeah.
You know, and that their way or thoughts or opinions, you know, might just be different and they might even work better if we allow them to. It's like, it's a wild thing.
Yeah.
I
know when his intuition is more, I'm like, okay, he was right about that one.
I know.
And why does that feel so hard to admit?
And, you know, outside of being parents, like you can apply this, you know, in your intimate relationships. Like, I think certain people have a tendency to want to control, you know, and I am one of those people. For various reasons. And I'm sure a lot of us have those tendencies, but it's like understanding why and then practicing in like a fun way of like, I'm going to let him lead on this. I'm going to like trust and let go and not need it to be perfect and not need it to be my way. And I'm usually surprised. Of course, I would change some things, but like I'm usually surprised. So it's just like just an aspect of partnership that like I didn't expect to be so. It just has helped me to grow a lot in that sense.
It's like you're not collaborating with your partner until you have a child together, and then it's like, wait, okay, now we have like it's not like starting a business. I don't know how to describe it, but like
Yes.
suddenly you have this thing that you're both responsible for, and suddenly you have to collide in ways that you never
Yes.
collided before. Because
It's your greatest investment besides your marriage.
Yeah.
It's just, it's
a whole thing.
it's intense. I want to talk about so many times in the book, especially when you're describing just various moments in your first marriage, you describe them almost as like fantasy. You know, it's like creating kind of a fantasy to kind of make you forget like what's actually going on. And whether it's like a literal fantasy of like the wedding in Morocco or convincing yourself of things. And I think this is like a very relatable thing that people do where we kind of create fantasy so that the mind believes it, and then we're committed for another few weeks, you know, we can kind of get through. And so how now or how then did you start to catch yourself in fantasy? Like how can we, it's not like pull ourselves to reality, but just remember what's really true.
Yeah. I just want to speak to like when our reality is painful to look at.
Yeah.
Or we don't want to accept something in our reality, we become very convincing with ourselves.
Yeah.
And we have to convince ourselves because it's the only way we can find our way through. And like, you know, you talked about control before. Convincing is also another, you know, coping mechanism. There were things that happened in my childhood that were too painful to look at. And so I had to convince myself everything's okay.
Yeah.
You know, or if I just stay positive, if I hold on to hope, then I can get through this.
Right.
And so, you know, I think hope is a beautiful thing, but hope can also, we can mislead ourselves with it. I had this moment when I was writing the book and I went into, funny enough, a Slack channel that was labeled therapy. And I had vividly written this scene where I try to initiate with my then husband and he completely shuts down, which ends up in the book, thankfully, because I wrote it so viscerally. I had forgotten about that moment until I went and read it. And I was like, oh my God. Like, and so I think it's when these things were happening where I didn't feel met, I was jumping over them. And so like, if you're hearing this now and you're like, ooh, that thing happened earlier, that really doesn't like feel good for me, or ooh, that's hard to face, and you're someone who tends to jump, like the invitation is to stay. Stay with the discomfort, stay with the pain of that, let yourself feel the reality of what you're in, because only when you feel the reality of what you're in can you then decide to make a change and choose differently. And, you know, I think like if I could have gone back, I almost would have kept a journal of or like just like a thing of when I wasn't feeling met and the things that had happened. And John, my husband, said that, you know, when he had broken up with someone and it was just not the right relationship for a lot of reasons before me, and he would find himself fantasizing or longing for how it was actually good. His therapist had him go make a list of how he actually felt in the relationship. Go make a list of like all like the ways it did not work.
Yeah.
So that every time he was in fantasy about like that one good moment, he could bring himself back down to earth around like, no, actually, this is how I really felt in that relationship. Because sometimes looking back, like we're not as honest. We like, you know, so it's how do we bring ourselves into the presence around how we really feel, which I know is a hard thing to do.
Oh my God, it's the hardest. Did you, just speaking of therapy, like in that scene when you're in therapy with your ex-husband, it's like that level of performance in therapy is really interesting. And I've definitely done it before.
Yeah.
And I've had to like, thankfully I've had therapists that have called me out, which is nice.
Yeah.
And kind of rude, but it's always good. For people who feel, because I think this is actually really relatable and people don't talk about this, like they feel like they can't fully be themselves in therapy. And maybe that's you know, kind of like match issue with the therapist. But I think it's also that performative side of us that doesn't want to show certain things or let our guard down in ways. So how did you get to a place where you could like just fully rip?
Yeah, I think that there was a moment where I said to my therapist, I feel like I'm not fully comfortable here being myself, or I feel really afraid for you to see me fully right now. I named whatever was alive in me.
Yeah.
And thankfully she like held the space for that. But I think like I feel like I'm not being honest with you. Like I wish someone would have told me when I was like, we haven't told our therapist we're not having sex. My friend would have been like, okay, go tell your therapist. Like, I'm not being honest with you about the fact that we're not having sex. Like you have to like name the thing,
Yes.
name the behavior, because that's the whole point of therapy. I realize I'm being a little performative here because I want you to like me. I want you to like not think I'm that flawed or like whatever. We're playing out something, and it's the purpose of that relationship is to make those things visible.
Yeah, that's the interesting thing about your relationship with your therapist. I've been with mine for like 5 years now, and it's like there have been moments where you're playing out a dynamic
Yeah.
that you're trying to tend to and heal, but like you're playing it out with your therapist.
Yeah.
And like it's kind of cool because like it's the perfect place to be able to kind of call that out.
Yeah.
But I love that point of just calling out what's happening, and it's not like pointing fingers. It's just like, I'm noticing this.
And I'd like to explore it with you.
Yes.
Like use whatever it is as material.
Yes. Yeah, that's really profound. There's so much in this book. I was just curious if you had to like, it's just so deeply personal and shares so many stories from your life and shares, people in your life. Did you have to have, for anyone like that wants to write a memoir or just write things personal, even online?
Yeah.
Did you have to have conversations? What was your process in putting this out and becoming unattached to how some people would feel about it?
Yeah. I have a lot. I love this topic. Writing the book and editing the book are two different stages. And the book you write and the book you publish are not the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Step one is to write like no one will read it. You have to, for your own like memoir in particular, you have to, for your own healing, your own processing, your own story and being and evolution, write what the hell you need to write as if no one is ever going to read that page. You can't have your mom, dad, partner, sibling in the writing room with you over your shoulder. Are you sure you're going to say that? Or if you say that, you're going to hurt my feelings.
Right.
Because then we never witness our story. And the healing comes in the witnessing of our story and the acknowledgement of what really happened. And so I teach writing workshops. I always have people like, you have to, the goal is to go there. And I do like a 2-step process, write a bad draft. So you can just get it down without your own perfectionist getting in the way, and then write a brave draft. Spend 5 minutes on each. In the brave draft, you go through and you say, where am I not being as honest as I can be? Where can I add more truth here? What am I afraid to put down? And you allow yourself to go there in your story. Because again, just seeing yourself, like the act of seeing yourself accurately is, it's so healing. It's so transformative. It's so alchemizing. Then later, once you've like written your heart out, once you've bled on the page, once you've said everything that you need to say, then you can consider like, okay, what's the story I'm really telling here? What's the journey I want to take the reader on? And like, are these stories essential to the story I'm trying to tell, and like the greater intention I have, which often in memoir, there's some element of healing. But also like, okay, considering the people in my life, like I can write whatever I want about my father because he's dead. And so I'm not, that one's an easy one. My stepfather, I no longer have a relationship with him. He's not named. I feel very comfortable saying what I need to say about that relationship.
Yeah.
My former husband, I wanted to be as honest as I needed to be, but I also like wanted to respect him and respect the 9 years we shared together. So there were a few stories I was like, I don't think that like that actually doesn't feel necessary.
Sure.
And then, with my mom, I was very honest. There were also a few things that I left out. But like, are my former partner, and my mom's reading the book right now, funny enough, like, would they find the read uncomfortable? I'm sure. Like, I don't know, if I was the main character in someone else's memoir, and a memoir is my story through my eyes, it's not the whole story, it's a tell mine, not a tell all, of course, that would probably be unnerving. So like, I understand the discomfort, but I think, I just kept returning to like, what is the why of this book? What is the why of my work? It's liberation, it's healing. That's my story has to serve that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I called my ex and I told him, the book's coming out. I told him I'm going to write a book. And he's like, of course you are. I know who I married. And then I was like, the book's coming out. And now he's remarried and was not thrilled about the book coming out. But also, I think my lesson in this lifetime or in this particular moment as a harmonizer is to tolerate other people's disappointment and disapproval, so that I am not disappointing myself, and to like sit with that discomfort.
Yeah.
Like, okay, he's not thrilled. No, that sucks. That feels uncomfortable. Oof. Okay. I still believe in the story that I'm telling. I still feel like this was the way I was meant to tell it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, I can hold both.
You can hold both. Yeah, it's such a deep, profound lesson. And yeah, just the impact that this book is going to make, I think, is just so deep, especially for women. So, I'm not saying that we should forget the people that might be affected in a way that they're uncomfortable, but it's like the impact, I think, is going to be great. And I'm so glad you wrote it. Are there any stories now as the book is about to come out, or today, or when we're recording this, it's about to come out, but when this comes out, it is out. But any stories that you are telling yourself now that you just kind of catch yourself slipping into that you're like, no, that's not true? Or anything that you're just kind of like, that's an interesting thing that's coming around just as my book is coming out?
Yeah. There's been a little bit of like, oh no, is my ex upset that he's the character in a story? Like that has been present. I unpacked it with a friend the other day. Very helpful. Of like still a little bit of like, oh no, I don't want to hurt anyone. I don't want to disappoint anyone. So that's been there. I've been like, okay, I see that. And again, like I can hold that. Like, okay. And then I think I've been contending with last weekend, my computer crashed. I tweaked my back. I stepped on glass. My son had a 103-degree fever. And it was just like life being like, I know your book comes out in a week, but haha. And so there's a part of me that wants to go into meaning making. What does this mean? Am I afraid of success? Da 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 da. And it's just like, or this is just actually sometimes what happens in life. And so it's been really a process of just like coming back to the present moment. I have much more limited time than I used to with the 10-month-old baby, but like I'm doing as much as I can with the time that I have. And like, that's enough because I think, oh no, I don't have enough time. I'm not doing enough. Da, 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 da. Like it's so easy to fall into like the not enough story.
Yes.
And just coming back to like, I am giving this everything that I have. And I love this book more than anything that I've ever created. And I like, this is the dream moment of my career. And like, yes, I feel like I'm like arriving to the finish line with like spit up on me and like a back that hurts. And like, I'm tired because I haven't slept in 9 months, but like, I am fully here with my like heart wide open and like, it's okay. It's all of it. It's everything.
Yes. It's everything all at once. And I'm curious, 5 years from now, you look back at this time and it's, to birth this, to birth a child, to go through what you've gone through, to have the week that you've had, both the highs and the lows. It's like, I don't know, just the dynamic nature of your life right now. I think just like, it makes this coming out into the world just that much more like dimensional and cool. And also like you have so much that's important to you in front of you. And so, yes, this is like your life's greatest work thus far, besides your son and creating a family, but you have that as well, your son, your family. And so it's like the perspective. And so if this were to have come out, maybe it couldn't have, but like at a different time, like I don't know if, it would be the same experience of like being so proud, but also like letting it go out into the world and like be what it's supposed to be,
Yeah. I have more surrender now.
Yes,
because it's like, I don't have time to like, it's just kind of like,
It's
okay,
kinda
here it
nice.
is. Like with my first book, I was a stress case mess.
Yes.
Almost I had too much time to think about the book, and it's just, there is an element of surrender. And it's been, I talk to a lot of new moms who like feel like they lose a part of themselves when they become a mom because, the fact that like 6 weeks postpartum, I'm working on edits for my book, which was not necessarily what
Same.
I planned, but how it happened, like
I
actually
remember
like
that.
gave me more energy and vitality, had me feel connected to my purpose. I felt like I brought
Love.
more to like being a mother. So it's insane, but I wouldn't have done it any other way.
Yeah, it's powerful. Last question. What is like one lesson, one thought from the book, one gem that you hope people pick up when they're reading it?
We've talked a lot about the idea of not disappointing ourselves, or that we will disappoint ourselves not to disappoint another. So I think what's coming up is this idea of that we heal in all directions. And when I first told my grandmother the story that I had lived, she was like, "Don't tell anyone about this because they're going to judge you." And I'm pretty sure she was judging me because my grandfather cheated on her and left her. And so the idea of leaving was really like betraying for her. And then a year later, she called me and she said, "I just want you to know that I'm so proud of you for doing the brave thing. And I would have left because I knew your grandfather was up to no good and having affairs and all of that. And like our relationship was not great by any means.
Right.
But I didn't have the emotional strength or the financial resources to do what you did. And so I stayed until he left me in a very betraying way." And almost like, yeah, we point the finger at him for being the one who left, but like, I
Wow.
would have left if I could have. And so I'm so proud of you for like doing the hard but right thing. And just in that moment, I was like, oh my God, we heal in all directions.
Wow.
And as I've liberated myself from this marriage that was so not right, I'm like liberating the thinking of other generations. I'm having them rewrite their stories. And so I think, when we do our healing work, it has a ripple effect.
I love that. We heal in all
Backward and
directions.
forward.
Yes.
Yeah.
I believe that. Thank you. You're the best.
You're the
I'm so
best. So
excited for you.
fun.
This book is incredible. You must order it now if you haven't already. I think it's a great book club book.
Yes.
Are we doing like mass book clubs on this? I'm looking
Working
at
on
our
it.
PR team over here. Yeah, like
Got a couple.
Actually,
Come on, Reese Witherspoon.
I should do one with my mom group. That's a good
Yeah.
one. Okay.
I would love that.
Okay. Amazing. I love you. Thank you for being here. Thank you all for listening. We'll see you on the next one. Bye. Thank you so much, Amber Rae. The book is lovable. It is an incredible memoir, one woman's path from good to free. You can get it now anywhere books are sold. Get it, get it, get it. Start a book club around it. It is such a good book, and just so many beautiful, beautiful things for us to think about, especially as women. Okay, y'all. Thank you. Thank you for being here. You can subscribe to us on YouTube. We are on video. That's right. You'll see my crochet sweater and linen shorts. We have a look going on today. And you can also find us on Spotify and Apple and all the platforms that you listen to pods. And if you want to learn more about Almost 30, go to almost30.com. It's a whole world on there. And then grab our book. It would mean the world to us if you bought our book. I believe I just saw it on Amazon and it's on sale for like 30% off. So go grab it there, or Barnes & Noble, Target. They're local bookstores carrying our book. We appreciate the support, and we will see you on the next episode. Episodes new every single week. See you later.